an Academy Award. She also has an Emmy, 2 BAFTA awards, 6 Golden Globe awards.
Wow.
Shirley MacLaine, don't sleep on her.
Don't sleep on her.
She
Sleep with her. It's just because this movie, you know?
God. What? Welcome to the Rom-Com Rewind podcast.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Devin.
And like you, I love rewatching movies over and over again.
You're here, you made it to us. You love romantic comedies, which is great news because we do as well.
So this is a show where we rewatch rom-coms, break them down a bit for you, maybe take a peek behind the curtain, dig beneath the surface, and decide, does it still hold up?
Today we have
Rumor Has It.
And if you ever want to reach out to the pod, you want to become, a part of the RCR fam, you can do that on Instagram at Romcom Rewind. We like to continue conversations there and also just keep you updated on what's happening with the pod, what's happening in pop culture or the world of romantic comedies. So throw us a follow there, but also please leave a review on whatever thing you're listening to us on.
We have a review from AZIVC. I'm not even going to try to figure out if that's I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but
okay.
Favorite podcast ever. This is hands down my favorite podcast. I love the topic. I love Sarah and Devin, and I love the discussion. Not to mention that it gives me great movie recommendations. Thank you both.
Aw,
thank you so much.
So rumor has it, hopefully maybe another great recommendation for you is a 2005 romantic comedy directed by the iconic Rob Reiner. This is the story of Sarah Huttinger, played by Jennifer Aniston, a writer for the New York Times who travels home to Pasadena, California for her sister's wedding. She travels back there with her lawyer fiancé, Jeff Daly, played by Mark Ruffalo, but nobody knows that they're engaged yet. It's a theme early on in this movie that Sarah doesn't necessarily feel like she fits in her family. She's very different from her father, Earl, played by Richard Jenkins. And she learns at the wedding from her grandmother, Catherine, played by Shirley MacLaine, that maybe, ladies and gentlemen, her mother actually had an affair around the time when she would have been conceived right before her mom and thought to be father ended up having their wedding. So Sarah sets off on a journey to find her maybe father, Beau Burrows, played by Kevin Costner, and I'll leave us there in terms of our lead-in because there is a lot more to this story. But what are your thoughts on Rumor Has It?
Did Mom sleep with someone before marrying Dad? Beau Burrows. Who?
Mom liked Beau Burrows. You seduced him, and then she ran off with him a week before the wedding. Isn't that what happened?
I don't believe everything you see in the movies.
Get me a copy of The Graduate.
It's my family, Jeff. We are the Robinsons. Why has no one ever told me about this?
Most of all, you have to hide it from the kids, cuckoo.
You're Mrs. Robinson.
So it's interesting that this movie is a 2005 rom-com, but it's based on it being in 1997.
Because it's based on
yes.
the continuation of the story of The Graduates.
Or Mrs. Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson,
right?
exactly.
Or the Robinsons.
The Robinsons.
I like the premise for this movie. It's so intriguing because, well, first off, the cast is great. But I loved the way that they used something that we all know in one way or another. Like Mrs. Robinson, the story of the Robinsons, that whole, scandal, but you don't really, just it all. And then they take it and they kind of continue the generations, one generation forward. I loved how they were able to do that. I was intrigued the whole time. The story was good. I mean, I think, and this is in my what should have been, maybe throw one more thing in there. I think that would have been cool to resolve and go through.
What do you mean one more thing?
Should I do my what should have been at the very front of the movie?
Okay, fair enough. That's a nice little tease for the end of the pod. Wow. Call that a hook.
But I think it would have made the plot and the movie just that much more intriguing and I like that. They kind of sorted it out and resolved it and tied a nice little bow on it.
We are so interested now in what your what should have been is. You're being very coy and vague about this.
Well, I think it just ties everything together that in fact, she will be the last generation of it. My what should have been has something to do with that. Anyway, I thought it was intriguing. I think it was different than other movies during this time because it was still formulaic as a rom-com. We still had the sister's wedding, the sister being the best or the maid of honor and things like that. But I do think there was a little bit of a change shift. It was kind of the opposite of the idea of you. And I know I keep bringing that up, but it's just because it's so at the forefront right now where, Kevin Costner's character or Bo is so much older and like going after. Anyway, I just thought the whole thing was interesting. I liked the movie. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I like this movie a lot. I thought it was a very fascinating premise. Like, what does the story of, Miss Robinson, the graduate, look like? What, we're talking like 30 years after the fact? Jennifer Aniston's character, Sarah, is probably early 30s. Mm-hmm. And kind of like what happened to all those characters. I think that's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
And I think the execution of the idea, like, I think this story could have ended up being really cheesy because we've seen it happen before. There's the classic Mel Gibson, What Women Want.
Yeah.
So they do like, 20 years later, the What Men Want, and it kind of falls a little bit flat. Or like She's All That. There's a new Netflix, like He's All That. They've done certain iterations of this that are a lot more obvious. This one, they didn't put it on the poster like, this is The Graduate.
This is a gender swapped version of blah, blah, blah.
We don't have Dustin Hoffman walking in being like, hey, I'm the guy, Like, it's a lot more vague, and then you get into the story and you're like, oh, I get it, it's this. But, I mean, Kevin Costner, Jennifer Aniston, just having them in the fold, I think elevates this movie so much. Mark Ruffalo, Richard Jenkins, and Shirley MacLaine as your supporting actors.
Like I said, the cast.
Unbelievable cast. And I think there are moments when the script doesn't necessarily land for me.
Yeah.
But the actors land the plane when the script doesn't, if that makes sense. Such a unique story and a really, really stacked cast, I think, makes this a really cool movie, especially when, like, let's be real, it's like a dude in his, how old's Mr. Bo Burrows? Late 50s, early 60s?
Sure.
Dating a girl who could be his daughter.
Yes.
Like,
he's probably the same age as his son.
Yeah. When you say the words, you're like, ooh, feels a little awkward, feels a little cringy. When I was watching it, I didn't necessarily feel it until I start thinking about it. I'm like, he banged the grandma, the mom, and the daughter.
Yes.
That feels weird, but because of the cast, you're like, I don't dwell on it as much as I might have if we didn't have Jennifer Aniston in this place, because she's so likable.
Yes, there was another point in time when I was like, the ick might be there.
Yeah.
But then it didn't, and I'll get to it.
You get close to the ick, but you never get really into the mud with the ick in this one.
No, luckily it's not icky, so.
It's such a fine line, though.
It is.
We got really close to the ick, guys.
We did. We really did. All right, let's dive in. So it's 1962. A 21-year-old boy or man sleeps with a 42-year-old woman. Affair ends when the 21-year-old man sleeps with the 42-year-old woman's daughter. Then the young woman leaves Bo Burrows, we know as Bo Burrows, a few days later, gets married to a different man, and Bo Burrows' friend publishes a book later on, I would say a few years later, on the entire story. But everyone thought it was just a book until in 1967, a movie comes out of the exact same thing, rehashing the book called The Graduate. It is about, and everybody kind of knows, it's about a family in Pasadena, but no one can figure out exactly who this family is. It has been kept under wraps for so long, for probably 30 to 35 years. Fast forward to 1997, we meet Sarah, played by Jennifer Aniston. She's flying home with her fiance, Jeff, Mark Ruffalo, and they try to join the Mile High Club.
You ever been on the Mile High Club?
No, I have not, and I don't want to be. I try to spend as little time in that airplane lavatory as possible.
Like, the Mile High Club, the concept is very fascinating.
Sure.
Where you're like, wow, yeah, you banged
Cool.
an airplane in the sky. But then when you get in there, you're like, you need to be a gymnast or something. I don't understand how you even fit two people into that room.
I also don't want to touch anything if I can help it in that lavatory.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Like, I try very hard to not touch the walls. I don't even want to touch the toilet seat, but at one point or another, you kind of have to, or unless, because if there's turbulence, you're going to fly against the wall. Like,
Wait, do you hover?
No, I don't. No, I don't hover. But I do,
put some toilet paper down.
Put some toilet paper down.
Yeah,
yes.
fair enough. Who doesn't?
Yeah. There's just there's just that is not an attractive place to have sex. No. I mean, for me anyway. For all those who have joined, good for you. I don't know how you did it.
Good for you. Like, and this is just me speaking out loud. I don't know how you get to the finish line. You know, like when you say I'm in the Mile High Club, was it basically like in, out, and it's like, technically we did it. So let's put our pants back on and get the hell out of here. Like, I don't know how you can finish in that situation.
It almost sounded like when you did in, out.
In, out. Hey, we did it. We're in there. You know, like, I don't know.
I don't think that counts.
There's no intimacy. There's no romance. And much like this scene, none of that really went down. It was more a conversation of Sarah and her anxiety about going back to Pasadena instead of the actual Mile High Club.
Yes. So they land in Pasadena and Sarah's dad picks them up, Earl.
Oh, Richard Jenkins. What a delight. In every movie I see him, I didn't even realize he was in this. We just did Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah.
Once again, loved his character in that. Let's just do Richard Jenkins month.
What's your favorite Jenkins movie? Like, is it Step Brothers?
It's got to be Step Brothers, right?
I was gonna say, because like he blows his top in that movie. Like, I can't. He is so funny in that movie. Oh my god!
But also the problem with Richard Jenkins is that I never realize he's in a movie, except for Step Brothers. But like 90% of the Richard Jenkins movies, he just like shows up like the Loch Ness monster. You're like, oh my god, there he is. And he's a delight, and then he leaves, and you forget that he was ever in there.
Yeah, he's in like he's
I'm
in
sure
some very interesting.
On his IMDb right now.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
He's fun. Like, he was in Dear John. He was in White House Down. He was in Dahmer Monster. He was in.
Stop. Seriously, stop.
Okay.
The first two movies you just mentioned, Dear John and White House Down, are like the widest span of genres that you could have picked.
That's what I'm saying. I know. He was in Burn After Reading. He was in Jack Reacher the movie.
Stop.
He was in If. He was in Hall Pass. Friends with Benefits.
And it's fun.
Now I feel like I'm just naming things. Me, Myself, and Irene. He was in The Core. Do you remember that movie when they all decided that they were going to go
to the
Earth's core to stop it from exploding?
They had to like restart the Earth's core or something like that.
Yes.
And it's funny, in every single one of these movies you've mentioned, Sarah, I have no idea what Richard Jenkins did in the movie. Like, you're like, he's in this.
I know.
I have no idea what he was doing in it.
At one point while I was naming them, I was like, am I actually on his IMDb? Because I'm just feel like I'm just naming movies
Did I move
now.
on to the wrong guy? Yeah.
I mean, he was in HBO funeral drama series 6 Feet Under as well.
Yeah, no idea what he did in that. And I'm sure people who like these things, or you're probably screaming at your podcast, like, what do you mean? He was the funny middle-aged guy in that. It's like, yeah, he's that in every movie. What are you talking? We love him. He's so lovable in this.
Shall we dance? I mean, I could go on and on. I'm gonna stop. But yes, he spans quite a genre of movies.
Gosh. And he's always so delightful. So he's in this. He's kind of the quirky dad. He makes them hold their breath through a tunnel and stuff. Just like the classic quirky, zany dad things.
Yes. Do you still hold your breath when you go by a cemetery? Or lift your legs when you go over a railroad?
Yeah, no, I go over railroads daily because we have one very near our house, so never. I used to hold my breath through graveyards. There's actually, this is a funny little sidebar. There's a town near where we live where it's like, there's a sign saying you're entering this town. And like, honestly, 45 seconds later, there's a sign saying you're in a different town. So I always make the joke, like, you could hold your breath through this whole town.
Yeah.
And so I do it. Every time I'm out in that area, which is very rarely, I hold my breath all the way through this town.
It's like the town where we count the people outside because it's such a small town.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
We always drive through and we always look to see if anybody's around and we count the number of people outside.
Because the joke was like, I honestly thought that it's one of those like, and listen, Devin, your friend Devin, I don't wear a tinfoil hat. I believe in like 5% of conspiracy theories. Okay? Just to be clear, not a conspiracy theory person, but I think maybe one or two of them are real. Like, Elvis is probably still alive. You know what I mean?
My God, I can't.
But I did have a theory for a while. I'm like, this is whatever the Canadian equivalent of the CIA is. that's this town. Like, there's nobody who actually lives in this town. I think they're paid actors. I think there's an underground bunker and they do weird shit. Because, we drive through this town occasionally, but I never see a human being outside. Just walking. Nobody walks their dog. There's a playground. No children. What happens in this place?
It is rare that we see someone.
And like we'll point out,
and they're wearing tinfoil hat. No, I'm just kidding. No, they're not. They're not. Oh goodness. Okay, so it's the night of the rehearsal. We meet Grandma, the coolest grandma ever.
So, how's the journalistic career?
Well, it's,
You know, I still pick up the paper every day just to read your obituaries. I'm so thrilled I'm not in it yet.
well, it's nice to know I still have loyal readers out there.
Lawyer boy, is it working out?
That's, it's okay. We're okay. I guess that's okay.
That's good, huh?
No, it's good.
Sarah tells her that Jeff proposed and she's in a fog, doesn't know if it's a good decision. Grandma shares that a week before Sarah's mother got married to Earl, she went MIA. She tries to ask her grandma more questions, but Grandma shuts it down. When later on in that evening, Sarah's dad, Earl, goes to make a speech, Jeff says, wow, like you're March 3rd, 64. They were married June 25th, 63. Like that timing is off.
Well, it means that they were pregnant at the honeymoon.
Yes, well, they were, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think they found out on the honeymoon that they were pregnant, which means at the altar,
they were pregnant.
They were already pregnant.
So she's
as well.
starting already to figure out that maybe my dad is not my dad. And Sarah's always felt very out of place with her family. In her eyes, she wasn't blonde enough. She drives a little bit crazier than her dad does, who drives so slow. Just like little quirks that were off that she felt made her different or made her feel different in her family. So the next day she goes by to see her Aunt Mitzi and finds out that her mom had an affair a week before the wedding. It could have been Beau Burrows.
Dun, dun,
Aunt
dun.
Mitzi brings out a yearbook to show Sarah. They go through it, and as Aunt Mitzi's going to refresh her drink, Sarah asks who Charlie Webb is. He is the author of the book The Graduate. Just as she's about to say, Aunt Mitzi tells Sarah, she realizes as she's about to say something that she knows who The Graduate is about. And in that moment, so does Sarah. So they've all figured out The Graduate, the book by Charlie Webb, by a classmate of Beau Burrows, and her mother, Jocelyn, is about her family. Her family is the Robinsons.
So now she's on a quest to go meet Beau Burrows and to discover if he is her father.
Yes. So Sarah confronts her grandma and says, "You're Anne Bancroft, Mrs. Robinson." And Grandma doesn't deny it, but she also doesn't admit it, but she basically admits it. After the wedding, everything's fine. Sarah and Jeff are going to go back home to New York, but before they do, Sarah tracks Beau Burrows down at a conference in San Francisco and says, I need to go see him. I need to confront him. I need to find out if he is in fact my dad. She goes there, she confronts him and says that she's Jocelyn's daughter and she wants to know more about what happened back then between her mom and Grandma, that she knows about the book and the movie. He confirms that the book and the movie are completely real. A few creativity, what's the word for that? Creative liberties were taken. But yes, it is in fact all true. Sarah finally asks if he's her dad, and he says he can't father children, that there's no way he could be her father because of a soccer incident when he was playing goalie. Sarah opens up to him and says that she's a bit lost. She doesn't know who her family is or where she fits in. She really thought that he was her dad. She's, has a career that's going nowhere. The guy who she's engaged with, she doesn't know if she wants to marry. And so to bring up her spirits, Beau Burrows and Sarah go out to eat, and then they're in a bar drinking. They dance. Sarah asks him to tell her what they did those days when they were together. He does. He's open about it. And then she goes pee. When she gets out, he is there standing in the hallway. They start making out, and she ends up waking up at his place on the water. We can assume that they have slept together.
Okay, first question, and I think we can play a game with this.
Okay.
I'm going to get into it, but Kevin Costner, attractive, right?
He is attractive, yes, in this movie, yes.
Can we do the Sarah's Ultimate Pyramid? It's not going to be really a pyramid, but can we do Sarah's Pyramid of attractive men over 60?
Sure.
So I'm going to say
60 like right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to pick two guys.
Okay.
You just pick which one you think's more attractive, and we're going to do it elimination style. We'll keep on going with that guy until somebody replaces him. Starting with George Clooney
I think George Clooney's attractive.
or Antonio Banderas?
George Clooney.
Okay. George Clooney or Colin Firth?
George Clooney.
Okay. George Clooney or Dennis Quaid?
Oh, that smile by George Clooney.
George Clooney or Kevin Costner? You do love Yellowstone.
I do love Yellowstone.
Mr. Dutton.
Ah!
What's his name?
George Clooney.
George Clooney. Okay.
John Dutton.
John Dutton.
Yeah.
I think of the ranch, Sarah.
Oh my goodness.
George Clooney or Pierce Brosnan?
Oh, you know what? Pierce Brosnan. No. George Clooney.
Wow, is George Clooney our winner?
Is he?
I should. Well, no, I've got more. George Clooney or Denzel Washington?
Oh. I think Denzel.
Really?
I think so.
Okay. Well, what do you mean you think so?
No. I'm just trying to like play it out, but yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. Denzel or Jeff Goldblum?
Oh my god, I love Jeff Goldblum.
Isn't he so funny?
I think he's so funny.
He'd be a riot.
I do love a good sense of humor. That does get me. Denzel.
Okay. Denzel or Richard Gere?
Denzel.
Denzel or Hugh Grant?
Oh, Hugh Grant.
Hugh
No. Let me rephrase. Not Hugh Grant. Unfortunately, his Denzel.
Okay. Denzel or Tom Hanks?
Denzel.
Denzel or Harrison Ford?
Oh, Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, wow. Harrison Ford or Liam Neeson?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford or Tom Cruise?
Harrison Ford.
Okay, this one's tough. I think this guy just turned 60 this year, but he might be our winner. I left him till the end. Harrison Ford or Brad Pitt? Can you believe Brad Pitt is that old?
No, I can't. But I just don't like his like things. Like, are we doing this solely on like the person who he is, or like?
No, I think the whole package, right?
I just don't like the whole like Harrison Ford.
Yeah, Brad Pitt turned 60 in December.
Oh wow.
Okay, Harrison Ford or finally Johnny Depp. This might be a similar response to the previous.
It is, because you know what? With everything that happened,
Yeah.
I just have to stick with Harrison Ford. But prior to all of that happening, it would have been Johnny Depp.
So
for sure. Like Chocolat Johnny Depp, so good.
Sorry, did you say chocolate like Willy Wonka?
No, he was in the movie Chocolat.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a movie called Chocolat. So, sorry.
I can't say. I'm not even saying it properly because like I can't, because like every time I do it, I know you're gonna say it.
Say it in a bad French accent. Yeah.
Or like, you know what I mean? Like the old movies, like when he was young. I'm not talking about Edward Scissorhands.
Can you believe it's weird that he's been in a movie called Chocolat and also he's been Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory.
Yes, but no, that's not what I meant. Imagine that's what I meant.
Yeah, I thought that's what you meant. I'm like, that's a weird way of saying Willy Wonka.
I've only seen it in French. No. There you go.
So I think we've got a top three. We do have a pyramid. Harrison Ford sits on top at number 1.
Yeah.
Denzel and George Clooney, 2-3.
Yeah.
And then
Colin Firth though would have been good too.
Colin Firth would have been good.
Yeah.
Dennis and Kevin.
It was the order too that like.
Yeah, it just started going.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Okay.
That was fun.
So we agree. Kevin Costner, let's say like somewhere in the top 5, top 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Beau drives Sarah back, but instead of driving her right away, they go for food on a plane. And they go to wine country. He tells her that he had a great time, wants her to stay, and that he likes her.
All right, let me make a proposal. Why don't you come with me tonight? After the party, I'll fly you home. Really, I have to be on the East Coast anyway. I can just stop and drop you off in New York. It'll be no hassle, and you'll be there by morning.
All the while, her fiance is freaking out because he can't get a hold of her or find her.
Poor Mark Ruffalo.
I know.
Doesn't he always get a role where it's like he's just abandoned somewhere in something? Like, I feel like all of his roles, he's just off on an island somewhere. Just like heaven.
He does the redemption conversation really well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The forgiveness story.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
The Hulk. Wasn't he abandoned for a while as the Hulk, I feel?
Yeah, he was.
Poor guy.
Yes. So at the gala, at the table for dinner, everyone starts talking about movies, and someone says, "Oh yeah, The Graduate." Both Sarah and Beau sit there quietly. Bo gets called away for a business chat with somebody at the party. All the while Sarah's sitting at the table, a guy named Blake comes up and sits there looking for his dad. We know where this is going. Now she's disgusted that she might have slept with her father. This is where that other additional ick comes in, because it really, like, I would have been like, yeah, but I want a paternity, like, or I want you to go and get like your sperm tested.
Yeah, let's
like, I need to make sure before I sleep with you.
Like, it's very he said, she said. No, I'm not the guy, but I banged your mom and your grandma. It's like, well, you know, I feel like maybe this
the timing's too close.
Yeah. Let's just take a moment. I'll pay for the paternity test.
Yeah.
It's all good, but like, let's just get it done just to lock it in.
Yeah. He pulls her aside and says, like, he's not my biological son. We used a donor. They make up and make out. And as they're kissing, we see Jeff, Sarah's fiance, in the background watching them kiss.
Jeff, what are you doing here?
I don't know, Sarah. I thought something might have happened to you, but apparently something happened to me.
No, Jeff, wait. Jeff, wait. Jeff, please wait. Jeff.
What?
Okay, that wasn't. That wasn't. I didn't kiss him. He kissed me.
Did you sleep with them?
I didn't mean to. I know. God, Jeff, I was so drunk. I don't remember anything, and I know that's an excuse, but I mean, it's kind of an excuse. Jeff, I love you.
No, don't say that. Don't you say that.
He fires back saying, okay, marry me right now. She doesn't answer. She can't answer.
That's his answer.
That's his answer right there.
That's his answer right
He
there.
walks away. Sarah flies home and goes straight to her grandma's. Sarah starts saying it's all her fault. Grandma says, no, it's not your fault. It's his fault. It's Beau's fault. Then Sarah's dad calls saying that Annie had a panic attack on their way to their honeymoon, and they're all yelling. Dad's yelling, Grandma's yelling, Sarah's yelling. He's yelling. Annie wants to see Sarah, so she goes over to the house. It was a very chaotic scene. It was almost like my favorite scene just because of how chaotic it was. I love the way it was done.
I mean, the actual best scene is coming up in moments. Because you
Yes.
know everybody's in the house now. The grandma, Catherine's in the house. Sarah, Jennifer Aniston's in the house, trying to comfort Annie, and they do have a little heart-to-heart there. But then, who arrives?
Yes.
In a black convertible.
Beau Burrows.
My best scene.
Yes, I would say this is my best scene too, but you go ahead.
How could it not be somebody's best scene? We've got
It's so
Kevin
good.
Costner sitting there with sunglasses, clearly contemplating approaching the house, but who approaches first? The iconic
Grandma.
Shirley MacLaine as Catherine.
I know, she was so good. She was so good in this.
She was so good. She comes out to confront Beau Burrows, and just the level of sass.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Like, her lines against Beau Burrows in this moment.
Go shit in your shoes.
Mrs. Richelieu, are you trying to seduce me?
You weren't that good the first time. How dare you? Sarah, you couldn't stop with Jocelyn, could you? Almost ruined my daughter's life.
Ruin her life? What movie are you living in now, Catherine? I didn't pursue Jocelyn. I don't recall inviting her to Cabo, and I didn't pursue your granddaughter. I think she managed to come 500 miles up to San Francisco on her own, looking for me. And we both know that I sure as hell did not pursue you.
And Kevin Costner somehow still manages to be charming in this situation. She makes a joke about like how he wasn't that good the first time, kind of thing. It was like, it's very rare that you see two like really great actors kind of go back and forth in a scene like that. And even though, you know, it's a rom-com, like, it was still impressive.
Yeah, and I do like that this scene addressed the real reason Grandma Catherine despises Beau. And it's because she did feel at the end of the day like she was being replaced by a newer model. Weirdly enough, the newer model being her daughter.
Yeah.
Which in itself is just bizarre that you're jealous of your daughter for sleeping. Anyway, it's just that should be some therapy spoken at a session to overcome that. But yes. And Beau knows that, you know, he says it's about you. You're pissed that it wasn't you, that I didn't stay with you, and that I, you know, in a way cheated on you. And she agrees. She says, yes, because you dumped me for the newer model. Just as Sarah, so Sarah's out there at this point too, just as Sarah and Catherine are about to continue arguing and telling Beau to leave, Earl comes out and we find out that the guy who kicked Beau in the nuts during that prep soccer game is actually the dad, Earl.
So there is kind of like a sliding doors moment of like, Earl became sterile, Bo became sterile because of Earl.
Yeah.
Bo ended up sleeping with Earl's eventual wife. Like, what if he didn't kick him in the nuts? You know, like, there were so many different, maybe he would have been the father. Who knows? It
Totally.
didn't end up going down that way. Also, Earl, yeah, a funny moment with Richard Jenkins where he's very kind to Bo. And we think, like, he has no idea who Bo is. But we find out scenes later that he does.
Bo tells Sarah that when she walked away at the gala, it might have been Cabo 30 years ago. He watched Jocelyn drive away. And Sarah says, I'm not my mom. I realized what I needed to find was my mom, and I was chasing ghosts. We both are. And they say goodbye. They say their final goodbye. Sarah and Earl walk back and they have tea. Sarah asks if he remembers when mom left before the wedding. And he says, oh, you mean the Mexico trip to see Bo Burrows? He knew all along. Jocelyn came back because she loved him. And she said that even though Bo Burrows was adventure, she knew she could build a life with Earl, which I thought was really sweet. Sarah heads back to New York to go talk to Jeff. He tells her engaged means something to him. She says it didn't mean anything, that I slept with Bo, and she'd marry him anytime, that she loved him.
It doesn't work that way, okay? You can't just walk in here now and tell me that you can't live without me and expect me to what? What am I supposed to do with that, Sarah? I'm supposed to make it all right for you? I can't anymore.
I don't want you to. I love you. I didn't come here to tell you that I can't live without you. I can't live without you. I just don't want to.
He doesn't say anything, so she leaves, but he runs after her. We love a good moment like that.
Oh, running down the stairs as the elevator's coming down.
And then
classic grand romantic gesture.
absolutely. Then one of the best obvious lines in the movie. He says one condition: if they have a daughter, Bo Burrows is not allowed anywhere near her.
Hilarious.
And then they get married.
Yeah, and then during the end credits, we get to see all the wedding shenanigans. Mark Ruffalo, Richard Jenkins. A fun little end to this movie. I've got a few things that I want to talk about after Quick Facts. My Watch Should Have Been is a fun game where we're going to play with the same kind of setting with different movies. Like, what if you
Love it.
did blank 30 years later, the same way you're doing The Graduate 30 years later, as rumor has it. A few creative liberties, blah, blah, blah. We'll play that in a bit. But first, Quick Facts.
Shirley MacLaine was originally offered the role of Elaine in The Graduate, 1967, but turned it down. Early in the film's pre-production stages, Dustin Hoffman and Anne Bancroft were strongly considered for the roles of Bo Burrows and Catherine Richelieu.
Richelieu, yeah. It's French. Sarah.
It would be Richelieu, but that's fine. I won't go that French. What is it in fake French? Early in the film's pre-production stages, Dustin Hoffman and Anne Bancroft were strongly considered for the roles of Bo and Catherine. When Bancroft died and Hoffman had filming commitments for several other projects, the roles were given to Kevin Costner and Shirley MacLaine. The Huttinger family house is the same house from the movie Father of the Bride from 1991.
Of course it was.
Screenwriter Ted Griffin was the original director, but was fired just after 12 days of shooting, which resulted in Rob Reiner taking over. Production had to be shut down for a few days, as Reiner was allowed to make script, cast, and crew changes before filming eventually resumed. As a result of this, original cast members Charlie Hunnam, Leslie Ann Warren, Tony Bill, and Greta Scacchi were all let go from the project. I'm sorry if I pronounced any of that wrong. This was the first movie in history to be released to HD DVD. Along with President Bill Clinton and Fidel Castro, the picture on the far left is Bo, Kevin Costner, with Rob Reiner, the director. Hugh Hefner was originally supposed to be pictured, but Hefner objected at the last minute. Reiner was added in digitally. Kevin Costner's playing the role of a man who may have fathered Jennifer Aniston's character in the year he graduated from college. But in reality, Kevin Costner was only 14 years older when Jennifer Aniston was born, so he actually is too young for the role.
You know, that actually did occur to me that maybe, that had occurred to me. Like, how old are these two actors?
Kevin Costner references life being a bunch of Thursdays strung together. Jennifer Aniston's most iconic role was as Rachel in Friends, which aired on Thursday evenings.
That's funny. Honorable mentions. It's got to be Shirley MacLaine.
She's so good in this.
Do you know the history of Shirley MacLaine, though? She is, like, everybody looks at her and they're like, oh, like, she's an icon. Would you like the tale of the tape, Sarah?
Please tell me.
Shirley MacLaine, a 6-time Academy Award nominee. She did win an Academy Award for Best Actress, terms of endearment, she was in The Turning Point, Steel Magnolias, In Her Shoes, the same year this came out. This is wild, though. McLean has actually written numerous books regarding the subjects of metaphysics, spirituality, and reincarnation.
Wow.
Her memoir back in 1983 was also a bestseller, Out on a Limb. Like,
I love when people write memoirs.
Oh, yeah.
And they're still alive, 30 years later, 40 years later.
Totally. But yeah, an Academy Award. She also has an Emmy, 2 BAFTA Awards, 6 Golden Globe Awards.
Wow.
Shirley MacLaine, don't sleep on her.
Don't sleep on her.
She is
Sleep
an icon.
with her. It's just because this movie, you know?
God. What? What kind of dad joke nonsense is that? We need a sound for Sarah's dad jokes.
Oh my God.
It just slips in there like a heat-seeking missile.
Oh.
Don't sleep
It's
on
just
her,
because it's
sleep
this
with her.
movie that we're doing, you know?
Oh, we all understand, Sarah.
Okay, good.
We get it.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure. Just making sure.
Oh, God. Sleep with her. What is your honorable mention?
Oh my God. I mean, that's a great one. No, like I said, I think the first thing I said off the bat was the cast in this movie. I think the chemistry between the cast was really well done. I think their potential ick with Jennifer Aniston almost sleeping with her with her father
What were you
was
about
just
to say?
with his daughter. Like, that's
Okay,
why,
okay,
yeah. That Beau's character could have slept with, like, it was just too close. Like, it being so close in dates and everything like that, and knowing your mother had gone on this Mexico adventure before, and those dates of you being born versus when they got married being that just close in time, I wouldn't have slept with him regardless of, like, any of the circumstances.
Yeah.
I would have waited if you really wanted to before you pulled that,
Yeah.
before you went there.
Definitely a little impulsive. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think just the overall cast in this, and I haven't said the overall cast in a while, so I will say it here.
What should have been?
Okay.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you want me to go first for
take a
what should have been?
seat. Yeah, I got a game, so you go first.
Okay. So my what should have been, and hopefully the hook is as good as I put out in the first few minutes of the pod.
Yeah.
But I found the plot, like, there wasn't like a massive amount to the plot for this movie. Like, I wonder if the additional piece for Pasadena finding out who the book and the movie was about, would it be an interesting addition to the plot?
Oh, everybody finds out it's Beau Burrows is the guy.
Yeah, and that
Okay.
Mrs. Robinson was Catherine, and that kind of thing. I think that would have made it a little bit more interesting, and then fully kind of looped that together, that there was pretty much no way moving forward that Beau Burrows would be sleeping with Jeff and Sarah's daughter in the future,
Right.
like that would kind of cap it. But I would like to see, I'd like to see the fallout of it all, and then how it kind of gets wrapped up.
That could have been a cool little, because you're right. I found, like, once we established, like, Beau and Sarah,
We're not father and daughter.
and they kind of just have this little romance. It
Scandal.
yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the beauty of this film that it kind of doesn't really go anywhere, and she just realizes, like, this isn't the guy for me.
And this is my family, and I do belong,
Yeah, but you're right. There's about 30 minutes in the middle of the film where
Yeah.
you're kind of like, I don't know exactly where this is gonna go now at this point. Once we've established everything. So,
Yeah, we had a montage of like walking a farm, petting horses, feeding horses, and then
romance,
like
little summer
totally,
love.
yes, absolutely. But I think there could have been like they got home to the realization that somebody found out. Did Grandma Catherine leak it? Like that would have been a cool premise for like that, something like that happening.
Or maybe somebody at the table at that gala.
Yes,
figures
bringing it
out.
up or
Yeah.
figures it out or something like that. That would have been an interesting plot.
Okay, so my what should have been is I talked off the top on how there are other movies that do like the sequel or like the continuation of the story, and they make it very obvious. Like,
Right.
This is what women want, but it's, Taraji P. and she's doing the thing, and it's what men want. So I thought, what are some movies that you could do, like, what does the story look like 30 years in the future, but don't make it obvious. Don't put it on the poster. Do it like this. Rumor
Right.
has it where as the story unfolds, you realize like, oh my God, this is The Graduate 30 years later and kind of what happened with those characters. So here's the game, Sarah. I'm going to tee up a story to you.
Oh, goodness.
And right before we figure out what the story is, like basically all of these stories I'm going to tell you are how I would imagine a classic rom-com 30 years in the future.
Okay.
Okay? And we'll see if you can figure it out. So this story is about William Thacker. He's British. He's a middle-aged father who, despite the fact that he is like a pleasant, lovely guy, he's very charming, just kind of down on his luck. He recently sold his struggling bookstore and kind of is considering early retirement when his son starts probing about his life. You know, his son's like, hey, why didn't, you know, my mom has passed away, but like, did you, like, was she the love of your life? And William Thacker, unfortunately, reveals to his son, he's like, you know what, there was another woman who I actually thought was the love of my life, and it didn't work out. And his son's like, why? And he's like, well, she was a famous actress, and it didn't quite land. And his son encouraged him. He's like, you know what, you should go out and find her. You should see maybe if you can rekindle something. William Thacker does that. He goes out to find who, Sarah?
Is it Notting Hill?
It's Anna Scott.
Okay, I can't remember
Julia
her name.
Roberts in Notting Hill.
Okay, amazing.
Yes.
Yay. Yeah, that one was good. I like that.
I
The
think that
new
could
little
be a cool
twist.
story though. Like if Hugh Grant and, you know, Julia Roberts, they didn't end up to, like, it didn't work out.
Yeah, you got to rekindle it.
Because then I feel like there could be some fun things with modern day, like he flies to LA to try to find her and somebody's like, just DM her on Instagram. Like, what do you mean?
Slide
Can't
into her
find-
DMs.
Yeah, just throw her a DM. Okay, how about this one? Beverly is in junior high. She's struggling to fit in, as is the case often with, you know, young teens. One night she's watching this new movie with Zendaya, you know, Challengers. We've got it on our list to do. And she's like, oh, I wish I could just transport my life to like Zendaya's age. Like, I just want to be Zendaya. She wakes up the next morning. Bang. She's 30. After freaking out, she calls her mom, the only person in the world who she can trust, Jenna. She explains the whole story to her mom, Jenna, and her mom's like, this has actually happened before.
Do you have a dollhouse?
This story is...
13 going on 30.
Yeah, I think that could be fun.
I like
Jennifer
that.
Garner did do like another body swap thing.
Yes.
That didn't quite land. I can't even remember the name of it.
Family Switch?
Yeah, exactly. Wow. It's a very original name.
Quite literal.
I feel like you could do another 13 going on 30, you know?
Yeah, I like the modern day twist on it. I think there's a lot of movies that if they do sequels, which is a big thing right now, you know, we have Freaky Friday 2 coming out. We have Practical Magic 2 coming out. We just heard that we have the Devil Wears Prada 2 coming out.
I was about to say, I've actually got it over here.
So I think they need to either have all of the cast and crew come back, but if they can't get all the cast and crew, then they should just do something more innovative and modern and maybe put a little twist on it, because I don't want these sequels to flunk, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't want them to sink, because they're such fantastic rom-coms that were done so well. Like, don't follow up with like a dud.
Yeah, and sometimes a streamer like Amazon or Netflix, they come in with a pile of money and they throw it at something, and it's like, it just doesn't land quite the way you were hoping for. I hope they're actual like proper theatrical releases. Like, we're gonna launch this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Devil Wears Prada. Apparently, Meryl Streep and Emily Blunt are both in talks.
Okay.
Anne Hathaway not, but her character kind of rides off
Yeah,
into the
her
sunset,
character
so.
does kind of ride off into the sunset. Yes.
Okay, our last one. I actually like this one the most. I think this could actually be a movie.
Okay.
It might already remind you of something, but it's not the thing.
Okay.
Our main character is Jess. Jess lives in New York City. Is on the cusp of marrying a fantastic guy. Has an amazing relationship with her mom, Maggie, her only parent. Something's missing in Jess's life, though. The only parent thing. She comes to an epiphany. She's like, I need to know who my father was. So she confronts her mom, Maggie, about like, hey, you never talk about dad. Who is dad? Maggie refuses. So she goes through, you know, public records, whatever she can find, and she finds that there are 4 marriage licenses with her mom's name on them. Dad is incomplete, though, corrupted. So all she knows is that one of these 4 men are probably her father. And she goes out on a journey of self-discovery and also to find out who this man, which one of these men might be her father. That is the story of, or the continued story of.
Okay, this sounds like Mamma Mia, but you said it's not. It's not
the
as
obvious
if.
one. Yeah,
okay,
no.
It's not as literal as that.
No, there's one creative liberty taken on this story, much like rumor has it.
Because it's actually a good plot for Mamma Mia too.
Yeah.
Mamma Mia 3, I should say. Or an additional story. Okay, I don't know this one.
So I'm thinking Runaway Bride, right?
Because she has like 4 proposals, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, she goes to 4 weddings, so I'm assuming there are 4 marriage licenses that exist.
Right.
With Julia Roberts' name on them or Maggie's name on them.
Yes.
And I'm also assuming like her and Richard Gere, they end up having like a quick love affair. They're married, but it fizzles out quickly. And she ends up with a child, and she's like, I'm just going to be a single mom, and kind of like leaves, sort of thing. So it's her going through. Remember Bob, like the hiker, the
yes.
extreme guy.
Yeah.
She meets Bob. She meets Richard Gere, and it kind of ends up being like a definitely maybe kind of story,
right.
Of like she goes back to her mom, and she's like, hey, which of these guys is the guy?
Oh, I like that. Okay.
And it's Richard Gere.
It like tricks you.
Yeah.
My rewatchability is as follows. Chemistry 4.6, storyline 4.8, thirst factor 4, imagination 4.7, soundtrack 2.5, cheese 3 for an overall score of 3.9 out of 5.
Wow, you got some higher scores than me and some lower scores than me. This is interesting.
Well, you know what? To be honest, the soundtrack could have been like stellar. I can't remember it right now. So I'm going to give it a 2.5. So and then the cheese, it was good. It was it was really good, you know? But yeah, the chemistry, the storyline and imagination, like I said earlier, like the fact that they brought this from something so long ago and they brought it forward in a modern way, but they did a really good job at it. So I got to give it to them.
So I agree and disagree. So I've got chemistry 4.05. I agree the chemistry is great across the board. 3.25 though for storyline. Because I feel like, and my imagination is a really strong score, but I thought the storyline... The premise for the idea is really, really cool, and they execute on a lot of those pieces, but I feel like the story just could have been a little bit stronger. Thirst factor, I've got a 3.15, and then similar to you, imagination, I've got a 4.65, so I think I was off you by a 0.05. Really, really cool imaginative way to bring it forward. And not be super obvious about it, which I like. 2.9 for soundtrack, agree. Cheese, I've got a 2.9 as well. Some slightly cheesy moments, but like overall fairly good cheese, but that's an overall score of a 3.48 for me out of 5. This has been the Rom-Com Rewind of Rumor Has It. Wherever you're listening to us, throw us a follow, and please follow us on Instagram as well. Follow us on Instagram as well, at Rom-Com Rewind.
Thanks for listening.